Chapter 7. To the Seekers. Outside the chamber, darkness clung to the city like a second skin. Whispers moved through alleys and forums. Paul's new religion was spreading, absorbing converts who knew nothing of the mother or the bride or the true son. Inside, under torchlight, parchment multiplied. Josephus began drafting revisions to wars. Lucius shaped his scenes for Plutarch's histories. The Gospel according to Luke, soon to be addressed to mysterious Theophilus, took form, line by line. Lucius set down his pen. So Mark gives her a name, Mary the Magdalene, but no one explains it. Philo leaned closer, eyes shining. Because it's not just a name, it's a code, a midrash. Lucius furrowed his brow. A code for what? She traced the letters on the parchment. In Hebrew, MR, MG, DL, DR. It reads M or M Gadal Adar. Lucius's voice dropped to a whisper. Mother Light, Mother Great Glory. Philo nodded. Exactly. She is both, mother and daughter. The lost glory of Zion returned, daughter Jerusalem restored. Lucius dipped his pen again. I'll veil her lineage too, call her a sinner, not to shame her, but to encode her identity. Philo's gaze held his. Not sinner in the sense of heresy. It marks her as outside Shammai's strict line, but within ours. She honored the lineage of the moon god Sin and his daughter Inanna, goddess of memory and renewal. Josephus added, Then the word becomes a signpost, not a curse. Lucius nodded slowly. Mark planted the seed, I'll grow the riddle. Gamaliel paused and looked up from his scroll. Our names will not survive. Philo met his gaze. No, but our story will. And our truth? Asked Titus, who had quietly entered. She smiled faintly. Buried, but waiting to be found. Titus nodded, stepping closer to the light. Then we must leave enough threads for the ones who come after. We may not have many nights like this left. Josephus lifted his pen. Threads and riddles. As many as it takes, as long as it takes. Morning filtered through the shutters in dusty shafts of gold, casting long shadows across the stone floor. The chamber smelled of ink, lamp oil, and sweat. They'd written through the night. Scrolls lay in neat piles beside each author, each bearing marks not only of words, but of careful codes, an extra space, an added flourish, a misplaced letter. Titus stretched his arms and looked toward the window. The city is waking, and with it, the eyes of the empire. Philo did not look up from her parchment. Let them look. What they see is only surface. Lucius reached for a fig from the table, chewing slowly as he reread the last line he had written. And what they don't see, they'll feel. That's the power of enigma. It gets under the skin. Gamaliel's voice was gravel in the morning air. They'll think it's about men, but it's always been about the return of the woman, the one Paul tried to erase. Philo dipped her pen and whispered, She returns with light, and we will not let her be silenced again. Josephus rose and crossed to a fresh scroll. This part must carry weight. Luke will show a woman healed, but I'll embed her among the wounded. One gospel for the seekers, another for the scribes. Lucius added, and I'll have her named first among the witnesses, not Peter, not the men, the Magdalene. Titus was watching them all now. Do you think they'll see it? In 100 years? In 1,000? Gamaliel did not answer at first. Then, slowly, some will. Those who have ears to hear and eyes to see. Then we must write for them, said Philo, her voice calm but resolute. The ones not yet born. The ones who will wonder why the goddess vanished and will search for her trail. Lucius raised his cup. To the seekers, then. They all echoed him softly, lifting whatever they held. Ink, water, wine. To the seekers. Outside, Rome stirred. But inside the chamber, time held its breath. For in that room, the story of the Magdalene, of daughter Jerusalem, of light, of memory, of woman was being reborn, one line at a time. The scrolls now filled the cedar table. As Dawn's fingers crept through the slats, the room grew quieter, not with fatigue, but with reverence. They all felt it, the weight of what they were doing. No longer just surviving the fall of a city, they were encoding the soul of a people. Philo sat back, rolling her shoulders. There must be harmony. Each version must appear distinct, yet echo the same truth. Lucius added, even contradictions must be deliberate, so only the seeker will resolve them. Titus nodded from the doorway. A mystery revealed through divergence. Philo looked up, her voice suddenly soft. When I was a child in Alexandria, my mother taught me that memory hides best in paradox. She said that truth spoken too plainly turns to stone in the mind, but truth veiled in mystery dances. Josephus leaned forward. Then we must make it dance, each of us. Pliny, Plutarch, Josephus, Luke, we carry rhythm. They'll hear it, even if they don't know why it stirs them. Gamaliel spoke again. We must remember the women, not just Mary the Magdalene, but her line, the ones who carried wisdom when men were at war. Lucius tapped the table. Then let's hide her name again, not just as Magdalene, but as wisdom, bride, light. She can be Salome, Joanna, even the oil bearer. Titus added, what about the spices? My father said the women came with spices, not to anoint the dead, but to revive the living. Philo smiled at that. Then write it that way. Let them bring spices, not for burial, but rebirth. Isis revived Osiris with balm. So too shall the daughter revive the son. Josephus's pen scratched softly. A tomb becomes a womb. Lucius stared at his parchment. And a cry becomes a vow. Philo nodded, her eyes distant. A crown of thorns becomes a wedding garland, and a cross, a bridal bower. They sat with that image. No one spoke for a while. Then Lucius said quietly, I will write her as first witness. And when the others flee, she will remain. She will call him by name. Josephus looked up, and he will answer not Rabboni, but my bride. Philo rose and crossed the room, placing her hand on Josephus's shoulder. Yes, and she will become the tree of life once more. Gamaliel leaned into the light of the brazier. Then let's sow these seeds well, for when they bloom, the world will remember what was nearly lost. Lucius whispered, let them come to believe it was about a man on a cross, but let the wise see that it was always about the woman and her return.